Imagine being lost at sea, alone on a tiny raft, surrounded by endless waves and sharks circling below. No rescue in sight, just the sheer will to survive. This isn't a movie plot. It's a real story. Let's dive into the jaw-dropping tale of the Japanese sailor who survived an incredible 133 days adrift at sea. It all began in 1942 during the chaos of World War II. The seas were dangerous, filled with warships and submarines ready to attack at any moment. Poon Lim, a sailor from China working aboard a British merchant ship, found himself thrust into this perilous world. But before you think this is an ordinary shipwreck tale, hold on. What happened to Poon Lim is anything but ordinary. When his ship was torpedoed by a German U-boat in the Atlantic Ocean, it was every man for himself. Lim grabbed a life jacket and jumped into the churning water, desperate to survive. He drifted for hours before he found salvation, a wooden raft. Now, this wasn't some fancy survival boat with built-in supplies. It was small, basic, and barely enough to keep him alive. Yet, it became his home for the next 133 days. Lim's raft was equipped with the bare minimum: some biscuits, a jug of water, a flashlight, and a few flares. That's it. How long could you last with just that? Most of us would struggle to last a week, but Lim's story shows what determination can achieve. At first, he rationed his supplies carefully, eating only small portions of biscuits and sipping water sparingly. But soon, the food and water ran out. What would you do if your only source of life disappeared? Here's where Lim's ingenuity shines. He improvised with whatever he could find. Using a piece of rope and a nail from the raft, he fashioned a fishing line and hook. With this simple tool, he began catching fish. But here's the bizarre part. When he caught his first fish, he realized he had no way to cook it. So, he ate it raw. Yes, raw fish. Think sushi without the soy sauce. It wasn't pretty, but it kept him alive. When it rained, Lim collected fresh water using pieces of canvas. On days when the sun scorched his skin, he dipped his feet in the water to cool off, all while staying alert for sharks. And the sharks? They were always there, circling his raft like vultures. Being alone at sea isn't just a physical challenge, it's a mental one. Imagine the silence, the endless horizon, and the crushing loneliness. Many people would lose their minds in such isolation, but Lim stayed strong. How? He kept his mind occupied. He created routines, checking his supplies, fishing, and watching the stars at night. But here's a random fact. Lim once kept track of the days by tying knots in a rope. When the rope ran out, he simply guessed the rest. One of the craziest parts of Lim's story is his encounters with sharks. On multiple occasions, sharks came dangerously close to his raft. But Lim didn't panic. Instead, he turned the predators into prey. Using a small knife, he managed to kill a shark and use its meat for food. Yes, you heard that right. A man on a tiny raft killed a shark with a knife. If that's not survival genius, what is? Here's a bizarre twist. Lim used the shark's liver as bait to catch more fish. It's the ultimate example of turning a threat into an opportunity. The ocean wasn't kind to Lim, storms would rage, tossing his tiny raft around like a toy. The sun beat down mercilessly, burning his skin and leaving him dehydrated. At one point, Lim's lips were so cracked from thirst that he couldn't even smile. His hair turned white from the salt exposure. Think about that. The man literally aged because of the sea. Despite these challenges, Lim refused to give up. Every time the sea knocked him down, he got back up. What kept him going? Perhaps it was hope, or maybe it was sheer stubbornness. Here's where things get infuriating. During his time adrift, Lim saw multiple ships in the distance. He set off flares, waved frantically, and even shouted, but no one stopped to rescue him. Why? Some believe the ships didn't want to risk picking up survivors during wartime. Others think they simply didn't see him. Whatever the reason, it's heartbreaking. Imagine seeing salvation so close, only to have it sail away. Yet Lim didn't let this crush his spirit. After 133 days, Lim's nightmare finally ended. Brazilian fishermen spotted his raft and pulled him aboard. By then, he was barely recognizable. He had lost over 20 pounds, his skin was sunburned and scarred, and he was weak from malnutrition. But he was alive. Here's a crazy fact. Lim's survival broke the world record for the longest time adrift at sea. He even gained international fame, with newspapers calling him the king of the raft. Lim's story didn't end with his rescue. He moved to the United States, where he lived quietly until his death in 1991. Despite his incredible ordeal, Lim remained humble. When asked about his survival, he simply said, "I just did what I had to do." But his story raises big questions. How far can human endurance go? And why do some people survive impossible odds while others don't? Here's a wild theory. Some believe Lim's survival wasn't just luck or skill. They argue that his calm demeanor and mental strength played a bigger role than we realize. Others think he may have been protected by something greater. Fate, destiny, or even divine intervention. What do you think? Was Lim's survival a testament to human resilience? Or was there something supernatural at play? Poon Lim's story isn't just about survival. It's about the power of the human spirit. It's a reminder that even in the darkest moments, we can find a way to keep going. Lim didn't have advanced tools or technology. He had his wits, his courage, and his will to live. And sometimes, that's all you need. Poon Lim's survival story isn't just a tale of grit. It's a testament to the boundless possibilities of human resilience. Imagine being isolated for 133 days, with only your wits to rely on, facing dangers no one could prepare for. It's staggering to think that he not only endured but innovated, turning threats into opportunities. Killing a shark on a tiny raft? Surviving on raw fish and rainwater? It's almost unbelievable. Yet, Lim's journey forces us to confront deeper questions. What keeps us fighting when hope seems lost? How does the human mind adapt to unimaginable isolation? And perhaps most importantly, what would we do in the same situation? These aren't just survival questions. They're reflections of the human condition. Theories about Lim's survival, from fate to sheer determination, showcase the complexity of this story. Was he just lucky, or was it his mental fortitude that kept him going? Maybe it was both. His experience reminds us of the profound strength within us all, waiting to be tapped into when life's storms hit. In the end, Poon Lim's story isn't just about surviving the impossible. It's about redefining what's possible. His legacy challenges us to push past our limits, to think creatively in dire moments, and to hold on when all seems lost. If one man can conquer the ocean's fury with a nail and a rope, what's stopping us from facing our own challenges? His story isn't just inspiring, it's life-changing. So, what do you think of Poon Lim's incredible journey? Does it inspire you, shock you, or make you question how far you could go in a similar situation? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's greatest survival stories, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more amazing tales of resilience and courage.